All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Kyle Magatelli of the Student Doctor Network, and today I am joined by three ambassadors from the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. Guys, thank you for taking the time to be here and answer some questions about your field.
Thank you for
Of
having
course.
So before we kick off, if each of you could introduce yourselves real briefly, that would be great.
Sure, I'll start. I'm Dr. Joe Adams, Lieutenant Colonel Joe Adams. I'm in the U.S. Army. I'm a occupational medicine residency program director on Fort Rucker, Alabama.
All right, I guess I'll go next. I'm Dr. Marco Britton. I am the owner of two different businesses, Insight Expert Solutions and Insight Injury Care here in Arlington, Texas. I've been in occupational medicine for 12 years now, and I love it. I guess we'll get to that later, but I just wanted to jump in and say that.
Thank you. And I'm Jill Rosenthal. I'm a physician and actually the president of the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. My day job is as Chief Medical Officer of Zenith Insurance, which is a Fairfax financial company. So I actually get to also work with our parent company, which has companies in 60 countries around the world.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you. So first question. Tell us about yourself and your job today. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your job.
I guess I could build on that since I went last. So as the chief medical officer of an insurance company, it's definitely something that I didn't expect to do when I was in medical school. I thought I would just be seeing patients every day in a clinic, which I was doing. And then the opportunity arose to try, and I say try because I've been doing this now for 16 years, to try working with the insurance side where I thought I could have a bigger impact on the nation's working population and also on businesses. So what I do pretty much is set policies, procedures. I manage a team of physicians, surgeons, nurses, pharmacists, medical assistants across the country to ensure that people receive the right care at the right time in the right place. And also that as a workers' compensation insurance company that we are covering that which we're responsible for and not something that's personal. Unless it's needed to help somebody achieve a sustained recovery from their work injury. So there are definite nuances. My work with our parent company, as I was saying, we have 60 countries covered across the world. And I do something called Ask the Doctor when people don't really know what to do next after taking advantage of one of our employee wellness benefits or one of our group health benefits across the world and helping them navigate the different systems that they have to deal with in their respective countries, which is always different. And it's an opportunity to always learn about how medicine is practiced across the world.
Awesome. I guess I'll jump in a second. So as I said before, I'm the owner of Insight Expert Solutions and also Insight Injury Care. So two different businesses. As far as Insight Expert Solutions in that business, I basically do like independent medical exams, peer reviews. I'm an expert witness, also some consulting, and also like life care planning and things like that. On the Insight Injury Care side, it's more so bread and butter, occupational medicine. So I've been in occupational medicine since 2012. Started out as a medical director for a large corporation here in Texas. I think they were in Texas and a couple other states at the time, and they kind of grew, and they were recently bought out by another company. So by me saying that, some people may know what this company is, but worked for them for a while and then decided to go back into training to get board certified in occupational medicine, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. But then came out of training and then eventually became a corporate medical director. So in that role, I got to work at Bell Helicopter here in Hurst, Texas. And that was a great opportunity because I got to see both the treating side, the clinical side, but also got to see a little bit of the business side of things and got to learn a lot on that and kind of helped with their program. They had started their occupational wellness program, I think a year and a half before I started there, and it was fairly new and they were having some issues. So I got to come on there for 3.5 years and help them build it up and got it to where it was when I left. It was a well-oiled machine by the time I left, and things were running pretty well. So I was happy that I was able to help him with that, and decided it was time to start my own thing, and that's what I'm doing now. And really loving what I'm doing. I've always been a creative person, and so this allows me to create, allows me to use my creative juices and kind of just do things the way that I see fit.
All right. So I'm Dr. Joe Adams. I'm currently the ACOEM Program Director here at Fort Rucker. I just took the seat last month, so I'm still doing a bit of a left seat, right seat, as we say, with the former program director, making sure we have a good handoff and some continuity. He's still present, so we lined it up so that there would be good continuity. Before that, I was the Chief Medical Officer for Lister Army Health Clinic here on Fort Rucker. One of the good things about I think good things about the military, if you go that route, is you get to change your assignment pretty frequently. So every 2 or 3 years, you can move to a next job, and so you're always learning something new. Get to build up your experience. But before that, I was a combat aviation brigade surgeon. So I was with the 1st Air Cavalry Brigade out of Fort Hood, Texas. We deployed to Europe in the middle of the pandemic, and we were dispersed throughout the continent, which is a very interesting experience, if you can imagine, with all the different country entry requirements and trying to fly helicopters through them in the middle of a pandemic. But lots of unique experiences available in the military. But as far as my current job as program director, our main mission obviously is to make sure we graduate ACOEM physicians. We're the largest ACOEM program in the military here, and as far as I know, in the country, I think. I don't know. I can't say that with 100% authority, but we graduate about 5 people a year, and I think the average is 1 to 2 per program. But it's a big program here for occupational medicine, and there's a lot of unique experiences that they get here. We send our residents to places like the military tropical medicine course. They get to go to Nigeria, Honduras, and places like that. We send them to NASA, Kennedy Space Center, because we're combined with the aerospace program here. But and you get dual boarded, so it's an interesting relationship here, because we got 2 programs going on at the same time. People trying to earn a master's while they're here. But yeah, we stay busy. It's a great job.
So that is a very wide range of things that are available.
Yeah.
Next question. When did you first decide to become an OEM physician, and why?
I can go here. So I had not heard of occupational environmental medicine in medical school. I had matched in anesthesia at Hopkins, and I was all set to go. And I had to do an internal medicine year before going off to anesthesia. So during my emergency medicine rotation in my internal medicine internship year, I walked into employee health, and they literally had a picture of a red Solo cup on the wall, because I was doing my internship in Urbana, Illinois, which is the home of the Solo Cup factory. So being curious, I was like, why do you have a cup, like a beer pong cup, on the wall of your employee health clinic? That makes no sense to me. And they said, well, we take care of the people who work there. And I said, tell me more. And that was kind of it, because once I heard about the field of occupational environmental medicine, I realized that it was the perfect blend for me of my biopsychosocial approach to health and human development and wellness, and really incorporated my interests in sociology, which I had. I was doing an MD PhD at first, and it was a PhD in sociology. And so really very interested in how societies work. And of course, as companies are a mini society, it just really intrigued me. So I called Hopkins. I said, I'm not coming. And I found a residency program at the University of Illinois in Chicago, where I was able to train at the University of Illinois and also at Cook County. And it just resonated with me. I also happened at that point to be, the mother of 1 and pregnant with a 2nd. And I thought perhaps maybe this is a better lifestyle for me, which it absolutely has proven to be. So I've been able to attend all of my kids' functions for the most part, and really schedule my day around the type of mother I wanted to be. Yeah, so I think that's probably how I ended up becoming an OEM physician, and so happy I did.
I guess I'll jump in. So for me, it was in 2014. I was in a family medicine residency program initially, but the program turned out to be not a good fit for me. And I was actually in the process of transferring to another program when I learned about occupational medicine. And so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When I was in medical school, when I was in a post-baccalaureate pre-med program, our preceptor had asked us one day, they were like, what type of specialties do you guys want to go into? And I said, I want a specialty where I work 40 hours a week. I want to, have my weekends off. I want to, all of those different things. And the entire class started laughing at me. They were like, where are you going to find that? I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to find it. So fast forward to 2014, I started looking into different programs while I was leaving this family medicine residency program. And I started out with preventive medicine. And then I was like, yeah, but I want to still see patients. I was like, I like what it's about, prevention, but I want to still still see patients. I still want to, work with my hands and all those different things. And so I went, one level deeper and found out that there was a subspecialty called occupational medicine. And so when I saw what occupational medicine was all about, I was like, that's it. That's exactly what I want to do. And so that was actually towards the end of 2013 when I found out about occupational medicine. 2014, like I said, was in the process of going to another program, decided not to go. And by, I think it was March or April of 2014, a recruiter found me on LinkedIn, and she was telling me that she's like, yeah, we have a position in occupational medicine, and I think you would be a good fit for it. Mind you, nothing in my LinkedIn profile said that I was even interested in occupational medicine. And on top of that, I hadn't finished residency and I wasn't licensed at the time. And so I had all these different things against me, but I was like, this is the very field that I want to go into. And she's offered me this position even before finishing residency training. And so I knew at that point in time, I was like, this may be divine intervention. And so prayed about it and went through the whole process that year of getting licensed. And just to make a long story short, got my license, I think it was August 28th of 2014, had a third interview with the company on August 29th and was hired that next day. And so started working for that company for 3 years and loved occupational medicine. It was one of those things that it was definitely a steep learning curve because I, came from family medicine, which is a lot different, to doing occupational medicine, and learned a lot during those years. But knew that I definitely needed to go back and get finished training just to learn the full, breadth of what occupational medicine is. And so eventually did that later. But the first thing, I guess, back to your question, when I first become, that was 2014, and that was the reason why.
All right. When did I first decide to become an OCMED physician? That would be around 2017. I was, after I did my transitional year internship, I became a general medical officer, which is something we have in the military where you just go out and practice after your intern year. I was working with a reconnaissance squadron of a Stryker Brigade combat team in Germany. And I met a doctor his name was Dr. Mies. He was in public health. And he told me about the RAM program at Fort Rucker, which is a residency in aerospace medicine, which is the program I described that I'm at now, which is dual aerospace and OCMED. And I didn't even know something like that existed before I talked to him. I had been planning on applying to internal medicine programs, and I'm just not a hospital kind of guy. So when I found out about OCMED and I found out I could continue working with operational units and being out and doing things, it just sounded right up my alley. So that I applied for it in 2018, and I got in, and here I am.
You guys are making me feel very old. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I feel very old right now.
I'm old too. I think for me, I started late. So I didn't start medical school. When I started medical school, I was 30. So I'm not as young as what I look. So
okay, maybe I'll give that to you.
You said about Urbana. That's where I went to school. I went to undergrad in Champaign, Urbana, and this is going to date me. So I started in 1996. So.
Okay, well, I graduated college in 92, so it's okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I thought we were like the same age.
That's occupational medicine because, you know, we're such a great field that it keeps us young.
This is one of the few times, one of the few times I don't feel old. So, thank you guys, because I graduated in 2006. So.
I literally thought you were like the same age as me. So that's awesome.
Thanks.
So next question, has being an OEM physician met your expectations and why?
I think it's surpassed my expectations. I definitely did not expect to be able to impact the lives of people across the world the way that my current position allows me to. I think being able to not only impact the health of the world, but also the world's economy is pretty special. So I didn't expect that either. It's kind of once you get into occupational environmental medicine, you realize the reach that you can have and do have. I think it also surpassed my expectations just because of the different jobs I've had. Like I didn't expect to be a medical director in a General Motors plant where I would get to do rounds with the union steward and figure out how to keep people safe at General Motors, right? I didn't expect that. I had At the time, it was a coal-fired power plant in Illinois where I was the medical director of a hospital system in Evanston, Illinois. I mean, the medical director of a Johnson & Johnson unit, of Piper Airlines, of a fire and police in West Palm Beach, Florida. Just really the different ways that you can apply your knowledge and have the career that you want. I definitely didn't expect that. And I'm so grateful for having had all these different choices that I've had as to how to be an OEM physician.
I second that. I definitely concur with what you said, especially like you said, the wide range of what you can do with the field. You can work in what some people consider urgent care occupational medicine setting. You can, work at a corporation as a corporate medical director. You can, like me, you can start your own thing. You can do, so much you can do with occupational medicine. So for that reason, it definitely has exceeded my expectations. In addition to, I think like you were kind of alluding to, the fact that it affects the world's economy, but also, people's personal economy, their personal, funds. So I get to, help a person who is injured in their place of employment get back to, to work and be able to provide for their families, and I get to be part of that process. So that is very satisfying. And then just, seeing, with primary care and some of these other specialties, nothing against primary care, but in some of those other specialties, you have people that have conditions that generally get worse over time. But in occupational medicine, you have people that have come in one way and they have a condition, whether it be a broken bone or it be some type of exposure to some chemical or a burn or whatever, but you get to see them get better over time rather than that person getting worse over time. And so that is rewarding. And so for those reasons and many more, it definitely has exceeded my expectations.
I agree. It's exceeded my expectations as well. Like I said, when it was first described to me, when I was in Germany, I liked the fact that I would be able to work with the units and not be stuck in clinic every day. But on top of that, the lifestyle has really impressed me. It's very family friendly specialty, and there's a lot of actually. I'm a musician. I'm kind of a creative person to begin with, and there's a lot of creativity and room to kind of come up with solutions and problem solve in occupational medicine. That's kind of what it's all about, and I think that I don't think I even appreciated that when I first heard about it and started, but that's one of my favorite parts about it right now.
Okay. So next question, what do you like most and least about being an OEM physician?
I think I'll jump in because I think I already answered it. For me, it's like I said, the satisfaction of seeing patients get better over time. And also, I think I've said this too, just the fact that there's so much you can do with OEM. So since I've already said those things, I'll just put that out there. Those are my answers, and I'll let the rest give their answers.
Well, I guess I'll go. What I like most about it?
I guess the least. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the least. What do I like least about OEM? I think for me would be dealing with unruly employers or unreasonable employers and unreasonable insurance adjusters. And we've all dealt with those people over time. And, with workers' comp, you have people who they want you to send an injured employee who has a, whether it be a amputation, a partial amputation, a fracture, whatever, they want you to send them back to work full duty without restrictions, no medication. And that's just not going to happen, And so you have some that are like that. That's not the majority, but you have some adjusters and insurance companies that are in employers that are like that. But majority won't be like that. But that is the thing that I like least.
That's why you need to know the medical director's phone number so you can call them up and be like, "What are you doing?"
All right.
Seriously. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. So for what I like most about it, I think I already mentioned the autonomy, the flexibility, the room for creativity and problem solving, the schedule, and getting kind of out of the office and getting about and doing site inspections and things like that. It's hard to think of something I like the least, but it'd probably be people trying to game the system. I'm not a fan of. On both sides, I suppose, like you just described, the employer and the employee. But I'm not a fan of that, the litigious kind of parts of the job. But that's really not that big a part of the job, and you're going to have that in any area of medicine anyway, I think. So, yeah, that's the part I like the least.
I think I definitely agree with what you all find are the most satisfying parts of being an OEM physician. I think something that hasn't been said is almost like the detective work you get to do. Like, what was at the root of this? Why did this happen? What's going on at the employer? What's going on with this employee? What's going on with that doctor? And so that also gets to the least, what I like least about it. I like to term it misaligned incentives, and they happen from all over. They happen from the employer, from the insurance company at times, from the physician at times, from the patient at times. And if everyone was working within what I call the truth, then it works really well. But unfortunately, humans don't always act that way. So I think some of the misaligned incentives are what I like least. Second to that, I would say, is that having to explain what OEM is to people. My kids all know what it is and can talk about it, but I get often, oh, so you're an occupational therapist. No, occupational therapists are amazing and wonderful, but that is just not what I do as a doctor, as an MD, and having to explain it. So that's why we're here, right? We want people in medical school to learn about it. We want more of the community to learn about it. We want other people to really know what we do in occupational environmental medicine.
That's a great point. I get it all the time.
I'm going into med school this fall, and I had no idea that this was like an actual something you can match to. So I'm glad I'm learning about this. 40 hours a week sounds great.
Yeah.
So describe a typical day at work, please.
So for me, I work out every morning, and then I go home where I am right now, where I've worked all day. I actually was wearing this today to work, which may not be the most professional, but I've been working up until this call. And I literally work from my computer, and I talk with doctors, with vendors like physical therapy, coordinators, with DME, durable medical equipment providers, with employers, with marketing people, with agents and brokers. And then, of course, sometimes I start quite early to be able to speak with people in the Middle East, especially with what's going on right now. We're doing a lot of work around mental health during wartime. And so that's like the early part of the day. And because my job is national, I end my day kind of late, but I have some flexibility within my day to account for that, because I have California and Hawaii, and those are much later than where I am here in Florida. Now, I would say if I go back for a second to my job at General Motors, I would drop my kids off at school, and by that time I had my 4 children. Drop my kids off at school, and then go to work at General Motors, hit the end of the first shift, the start of the second shift. Then I'd go home, pick up my kids, take them for their activities, make them dinner, and then I would go back for the third shift. And nobody had actually ever done that before. They just went home. And I thought, okay, well, here's this great day where I can be everything I want to be in life, a wife, a mother, a doctor. And that could be a typical day at work, as well as sitting here at my computer trying to stand up more than I do.
A typical day at work. I thought about this. This is not an easy question to answer in the military, because one, we're always switching jobs, and then two, the operations and priorities are always changing. But my current job right now that I just started, typical day is I work out in the morning, come in, we may or may not have a meeting, interact with the residents. Some days I have clinic and I'm precepting. I communicate a lot with the residency sites, the people who are precepting at the other sites, and the various staff that we talk to. I communicate with our host facility here, Lister Army Health Clinic, quite a bit with the leadership here. I fly. We have to fly as aerospace physicians. We have a flight hours requirement. So I'm out on the helicopters and C-12s and things like that fairly frequently. And then leadership duties, training medics, counseling, doing evaluation reports. I'm involved in some committees that I either chair or am a member of. And then there's various projects going on at any given time, like virtual telehealth initiatives, doing on-call flight surgeon for mishaps that might happen, that do happen, research, teaching, and presentations and things like that. But it's hard to kind of describe a typical day, but those are some of the components of the current job.
So, like Dr. Adams, my days are definitely not typical, just because I'm an entrepreneur and I have my own practice. My days vary, but generally I try to get to work at this point no later than 8:30. Back a couple of years ago, I would get here sometimes 5 in the morning and stay till 6, 7, 8 at night, but I have more balance now. But that's, because I was starting my own practice. But typical day, or I'll just say during the week, these are some of the activities I do. So I get to work. My mind is automatically going towards what can I do to build my practice? What can I do to make it better? What can I do to, streamline things? What can I do to help my staff members? All of those different things. And so generally I'm working on those type of things until, it's time for me to see patients. So some days I see patients here on site. There's other days I may travel to other sites because I do independent medical evaluations. I'm in Texas. I'm considered what they call a designated doctor. I don't know what they call it in other states. I know California, it's a qualified medical examiner, or QME, and there's different types of names that they call this particular position. But so with that being said, I travel to see patients. So I may be in a different city in Texas, depending on the day of the week or the week. I don't do it all the time, but there's weeks where I travel to Tyler. Some weeks I go to Dallas. Today I went to Dallas. I'm in Arlington, Texas, so it's just right up the street. Then I go to Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and those different cities. So there's days where I'm traveling the majority of the day. And then there's days where majority of the day I'm sitting in front of a computer working on my IME reports. There's days where I take the whole day to work on building the business and get to be creative. I'm working on Canva because I like, you can, outsource different things, but because I'm a creative, I think all of us are here, we're creatives. I like creating, and so I get to, work on building websites or building ads or different things like that. I think I'm leaving something out, but that's generally what my day is. And sometimes in between me working on building the business, I'm like I said, I'm seeing patients. I may run in a room and do an exam, and then come back and finish my charting, and then go back to working on whatever I'm working on. So I've always thrived on having variety, and so I love that I can kind of tailor my day to what I want it to be. It's probably going to change here in the next couple of years, just because as the business grows, I'm going to kind of pull myself out of being the person doing the majority of the work, and we'll hire other staff members, and so I'll probably be doing more administrative and more oversight, but I still plan on treating patients as well. So I think I'm not leaving out anything. And then in between that, I have my family. So when I get home, I spend time with my 5 kids. I have my 4 daughters and my son, and my wife as well. And so we like to have a good time, whether it be just us chilling out on the couch watching TV, or outside in the backyard throwing balls or kicking balls or playing volleyball or whatever. And other than that, church and spending time with my friends. So typical day can be different every day.
Oh, sounds like there's a lot of room for novelty in the field then.
Most definitely.
So next question, have you done research and or teaching as an OEM physician? Do you like the amount of each you currently participate in? If not, why?
So teaching wise, I have some mentees who are the first in their families to go to college. And it's a program called Thrive Scholars, and Zenith, the company I work for, is a big supporter of Thrive Scholars. So I have, I think, about 5 or 6 mentees who are in college or have graduated from college. And then I also teach residents. So we host residents from residency programs across the country. And if you ever want someone to remotely rotate with us, by all means, please reach out. But we like to expose people to the insurance side of the world so that we can all be better partners one day. Insurance is a part of the process. And I think understanding it and understanding where the speed bumps and hurdles exist can help alleviate some of those challenges when a doctor's in practice. I know that there are a lot of complaints about the paperwork of workers' comp, and but it actually doesn't have to be. The other research that I've been involved in lately is through a master's program that I just completed. I graduate Saturday from Duke's Fuqua School of Business. It's a Master's of Science in Quantitative Management of Health Analytics. Thank you. And so the research I've done is trying to understand how to extract data from our electronic health record and make sure that employees, injured workers, get to the doctors and facilities who really get them better faster. No one should sit in the system. The other piece of this is advocacy. It's not on the question, but through ACOEM and through the presidency of ACOEM now, we have the opportunity to advocate for residency programs, to advocate for the health of workers. Like right now, I was reviewing a petition from one of our component societies about silica and silicosis in quartz fabrication facilities, and it's just fascinating, right? It's so different, and sometimes it's about climate change, and that's the E. So we have the OEM, and we get to work on both occupational and environmental medicine issues.
I can go next. So research as an OEM physician, we're really, as a RAM, resident in aerospace medicine, that's what we're called even after residency in the military. We do both aerospace and OCMED, aerospace kind of being a subcomponent of OCMED. But I've done research, but not specifically OEM research. I've done research on preparing preparing Army pre-hospital systems for large-scale combat operations. I had the opportunity to write a thesis on that for a master's, and I've written some papers for various magazines, an AFP article, but nothing specific to OEM. But there's definitely opportunities. There's a lot of them out there, and now that I'm the residency program director, I do plan to get involved in a lot of those opportunities.
That's cool.
It is. So I haven't done a whole lot during residency. I did some research on obesity and how it affects DOT driver certification. I also got to write a section of, so the private practice section of OEM, they wrote a publication for family medicine and I guess internal medicine, just kind of explaining what occupational medicine was, and I got to write a couple of those sections in that. I don't know whatever happened with that. I know it was on ACOEM's website for a while, but now I don't think it's on anymore. But other than that, I've done teaching to different employers that either the companies that I worked for were contracted with, or for when I was working for one company in particular, I got to educate their employees on just workplace safety and hazards and things like that. Of recent, I've done a couple of more lunch and learns and things where I've educated different individuals about whether it be independent medical evaluations, or I got one coming up here next week on heat stress, since we have hot months coming up here in Texas. So little things like that here and there. But I definitely would have liked to have done more. But at the same time, busy person with the practice and the family. So you got to balance all that out.
I have a bunch of friends in OEM, though, who are on the academic side and do a lot of research. I mean, a lot of publications and teaching, and some of it is aligned with the lifestyle medicine group too. So about like total worker health and going beyond those pillars. Like those are the lifestyle medicine pillars of wellness are great, but then I think there are some more pillars that are kind of left out of there that I think OEM kind of covers. So it's a nice complementary relationship. But research is, if you want to do research, if a student wants to do research as a physician or in residency, there's plenty to do. And really, you could pick any topic, even what you were talking about the process and the training. Like that's the operational workflows that's important to the health of a business, and sometimes that's what we do as well. In occupational medicine, it's looking at how people flow through a system.
Excellent. So a question I am very much interested in, on average, how many hours a week do you work? How many hours of sleep are you getting a night? And how many weeks of vacation are you taking?
Well, I could jump in and answer that one. So for me, right now I'm working about 50 to 60 hours a week. That's not typical of occupational medicine, though. When I worked for another company before, on average, it was more so 40 to 50 hours a week. Even then, I made it a point to make sure I took a lunch break every day. And so I worked at a clinic where this is probably gonna be mind-boggling, but there were days when I worked by myself and my PA wouldn't show up to work, and I would see by myself 65 patients in that day, which is bananas. But I would still make sure I would say I'm leaving and no one is seriously hurt. If they are, I'll stay and see them. But if not, I'm coming back in an hour. And so I made sure I got that hour every day. And so I had that balance and had all my weekends off and everything. Now, because like some building practice, it's a little bit more, but I can work around. I can take time off when I need to. If one of my kids are having a birthday party at the house, I can leave and go home for a couple hours and come back. So I still know that there is that work-life balance, but just working a little bit more now. But eventually I'll probably work half of what other people are working, just because things will be going and I'll be, doing more oversight than anything.
I can go next.
I didn't answer all the questions. Second time doing that. Sorry to cut you off. Hours of sleep. I'm one of those people I have to get my sleep. So I get at least 8 hours every night, except for those nights when I wake up and can't wait to sleep. But that happens as you get older. And then how many weeks of vacation do I take? It just depends. I think last year I probably took about, who knows, 2 to 3, which is not a lot, but I take breaks whenever I need to. So it all, averages out.
So how hours a week? Again, it's very dependent on the job and the situation, but typically 40 to 50, I would say is pretty typical. Sometimes, depending on what's going on, 60, but that's the military. Sleep per night, I'm same boat. Like, as I've gotten older, get less and less sleep, but not necessarily because of the job, just because, life. But how many weeks of vacation? In the military, we get 30 days a year, so 2.5 days a month, paid vacation. So that's how much I take.
So hours a week. So my time card says 37.5, but it's definitely more than that. I think there was a time when I was going back and forth to Los Angeles to our office every other week. So that was a while ago now, but it varies, right? It varies on what I want to do, what I want to accomplish, how much I want to be seen, where I want to be seen in order to be considered for various opportunities within the company. And I think that is applicable to most companies. I think on average now it's probably about 50 hours a week, something totally reasonable. I like doing work. I went back to school, right? Because I like thinking, learning, growing, and doing things. So I'm constantly thinking about work, which is not the healthiest, but I think no matter what field, I would have done that. As far as sleep, the elusive sleep. I used to sleep really well, and as I've already, you could do the math, you figured it out. I'm 55 years old. Sleep is tough, right? And again, it has nothing to do with the job. It is all about my body. And so I like to get 7, but it's probably more like 6, maybe less. But that's just life. And weeks of vacation do I take? I actually am afforded really 4 to whatever vacation, as long as I get my work done, 4 weeks. But I don't take that much. I just don't. But I do, like I said, I have stepped away to go to my kids' events. I will travel and go to one of my kids is an athlete at Duke right now, and so I'll go watch him compete, and I can work from the hotel during the day and watch in the evening. Like, that's pretty cool, right? And so I don't need to take a vacation day to be able to do that because I can work from anywhere.
Can I jump in and say this? I know a lot of people, they really look forward to vacations because they really don't like what they're doing. I really like what I'm doing. So it's like a vacation is taking me away from what I really like doing. And so it's definitely needed, just to spend that time, get time with family and all of that. But we do that throughout the week as well. So I would say don't necessarily gauge it on how many hours or how many days of vacation that we take, because we really like what we do. And because of that, we I don't want to speak for you guys, but because of that, we may not take as much as someone else does.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, like was it last summer? No, 2 summers ago, I took the kids hiking in the Alps, right, for 2 weeks, and that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So trying to make it a really special experience when I do go on vacation, rather than just getting away, because I don't feel the need, like you said, to just get away. I want to do something incredible when we go.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right, excellent. And Dr. Rosenthal, for the record, I did not do the math about your age. I was not going to ask.
It's okay.
I don't believe her. I just don't believe her. That's more like 35,
Because this is OEM. It's just all good.
That's a good selling point. More where I'm sitting. And Dr. Adams, if you're topping out at 60 hours a week in the military, that is, anybody who's been in can say like that's abnormal.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's situation dependent.
Yeah, that's the big caveat. It's sometimes you, how many hours are there in a week? How much sleep do you need? The answer to that is there's a lot of hours. You don't need to sleep as much as you think. That's what I learned in the military. Terrible. Next question. Are you satisfied with your income?
I will leave it at very. 4 kids, out of state school. All good.
I'll second that. Even being in the military, the compensation's good. Yeah, very satisfied.
I would say very, and I'll say that, you know, when you start your own business, for any student or future resident in occupational medicine is watching this, I'm an entrepreneur, so I want all y'all to be entrepreneurs, but I know that's not going to be the case. But when you do first start your practice or whatever you start, you may, if say you work for someone else first and then you start your own practice, you will see a dip in your salary. But if you map it out right, within a couple of years, you'll be making what you made at your last gig, and then eventually you'll pass up what you made, and that's where I'm at right now. So I say that to say I'm very satisfied because I'm probably making more than I ever made at this point.
That's great.
Thank you.
That sounds pretty good to me. And I'll throw in, for anybody who's thinking about the military, there are a lot of upsides to the way pay is distributed that are nice. I do miss those, that's for sure. All right, so from your perspective, what is the biggest problem in healthcare today? That is a loaded question. And how does it affect you as an OEM physician?
Oh, I can think of a lot of problems in healthcare today. I'm going to go with something a little different, maybe, than what you all would say. It's the siloed work that happens within healthcare, where you have different specialties treating a patient and they're not talking to each other, which creates some significant challenges, I think, especially in occupational environmental medicine. The others would be, I think, just the costs of care have gone up significantly, and it definitely impacts what I'm able to do as an OEM doc. Let's say if I was in a clinic, just because there are so many challenges to, I would say, to reimbursement practices in group health, in workers' comp, all around. So those would be my 2 biggies.
I would say that it's definitely the fact that you have a lot of people who are non-medical who are running the system.
Yeah.
So they don't make decisions from a medical doctor or physician's standpoint, or even from a patient standpoint. It's a lot of times it's from a business standpoint, which is, I mean, it's a business, so you have to think of business. So I don't fault them 100% for that, but you definitely have to see it from all angles. And I think that sometimes is missing. And because of that, like you said, we have issues with reimbursement, which that doesn't make doctors, want to go out and practice. Definitely not on their own. And it's actually pushing more doctors into becoming employees, because it's like, I don't have to deal with, hospital. I don't have to deal with but insurance companies. I don't have to deal with insurance companies. I don't have to deal with reimbursement. I'll just go work somewhere, which is fine, But I think that if the system wasn't the way that it is, more doctors probably would go into just starting their own thing. And as you can see, I'm an advocate for starting your own thing. But I'm up for the fight. My name is Marco, which means warrior or warlike. So I'm up for the fight. So I can do it. But I mean, you got to have that mindset to be able to deal with the fight of reimbursements and all the other rigmarole that comes with insurance and just the system itself.
I'd have to say biggest problem in healthcare. One of them would have to be the aging population. I don't think we have enough physicians and healthcare providers in general to keep up with the aging population. And there's a lot of downstream effects of that, even in the military and definitely in OEM. When we refer out, these physicians we're referring to, specialty providers, they don't, they're seeing a lot of people. There's a lot of people trying to get in to see them, and they may not have the bandwidth to kind of adequately assess all the time for what we're looking for. It's a problem in the military anyway. And so you might get an answer that's just kind of tailored to either suit the patient or suit the specialty provider's time that they had or something like that. But the bottom line is, I don't think we have, as a healthcare system, the bandwidth to deal with the aging population right now. So that's my answer to the first question. The biggest problem in healthcare in general in the U.S., but how it affects OEM, it's the referrals, I suppose, is how it's manifested to me when I refer out to the civilian network, and some of the evaluations, some of the notes we get from the specialty providers. They seem at times inadequate, I would say.
When you just said that, it made me think about how, as a society, we're often just reactive to conditions rather than proactive and preventive. And I think in OEM, we're more on the preventive side. And how do we keep something from happening and not have to respond to it or react to it in the long run? So you just made me think of that as well.
All right.
And then also, I'd say funding, government healthcare, which is where I find myself, is funding has been an issue of late. So we don't have the resources that we used to have.
Hey, thank you for that's again. There's a lot of variety in those answers. It seems to be a theme with the field. So, last question here, guys. Where do you see OEM in 10 years?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I can kind of read the writing on the wall a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot more telehealth. I think there's going to be a lot more AI integration. In the military, here at this clinic, we just recently kicked off on something called ambient dictation, which I think a lot of the civilian facilities already have. Mm-hmm. But basically, if you don't know what that is, it's the ability to for basically an AI to hear your conversation and turn it into a note for you. And theoretically, in the near future, maybe even do the coding for you, which would be amazing. And maybe even order labs for you. I think in 10 years, there will likely be a lot of places doing that. Maybe everybody will be doing that. But I also think in OCMED specifically, we're going to be looking at a lot more remote workers in the future as AI kind of takes on a lot of burden from people. I think a lot more people are going to be working from home. And I don't know how that impacts occupational environmental medicine, but I know it will have an impact.
I wanted to jump in because I think that Dr. Rosenthal, I think you'll be able to really just round this out, just being in the position that you're in. But you'll be able to speak to whatever I'm about to say and what he said as well. But I think that people have, because we know, and it's no secret that over time, the residency programs have diminished over time, the number of residency programs. And so that kind of can, put a little bit of fear out there, like, where is this specialty going? Is it dying? Is it going to stay viable? What's going on? But one thing that I heard at ACOEM, AOAC, was one thing that I liked that I heard was that it's one of those specialties that you can actually match directly into. Whereas before, I don't think that was an option. You had to go like an intern or another type of route and then finally go into occupational medicine. So I'm hopeful that, with that and all the other efforts that are out there that I'm sure Dr. Rosenthal can speak to, but all the different efforts that are out there that to increase awareness. And then even what we're doing now, we're trying to increase awareness of the field. let more medical students and residents know about the field, and with couple that with getting more funding, I think that the field can bounce back and grow and thrive, and as we look, and we have to think like you were saying, Dr. Rosenthal, think proactive rather than reactive, and think about the more people work from home, and how things are going to change with AI and robotics and all of those different things. And if we can kind of get ahead of it, I think that the field can bounce back and really grow and thrive. I'm very hopeful because I love the field, and I think that it can definitely be something great. I know that in other countries, it's a field that's very respected in other countries. So even if God forbid, if it something was to happen in America where it goes away, I highly doubt that ever happened, because there's other countries who really revere the field, and they're all about keeping it thriving. So I think
that's a perfect segue, because I was going to say I see it global, right?
Yeah.
Occupational environmental medicine is in its almost like infancy in a way in this new world that we're in. So with the emergence of AI, with agentic AI, with various forms of AI, with technologies that we don't even know about yet, that's one of the beauties of our field, is that we, as you've heard, we're very flexible in how we practice, and we're very I would say responsive to new ways that people work. So if we have a workforce that's behaving differently, working in different ways, like think about data centers and the water in the areas associated with those data centers. That wasn't even a thing like 10 years ago, right? And so how are we being responsible citizens around with the water? And that gets to our E in OEM. And then how are we making sure that the communities aren't negatively impacted, that the people who work in those communities have stable lives, that it's so interesting if you think about things like food security, but also like job security, and how do we ensure that communities have that is all OEM. So I think it's going to be even broader than what we think now. I think it's going to be more global. I think that I think that there will be more remote workers to take care of. I also think that we have to learn how to partner with AI and to partner with the people who are running the AI. And it's one of those fields that I think more people will be drawn to, because we have the lowest burnout, because we have one of the highest job satisfactions. And I think today's upcoming physicians want that. They want a field where they're making an impact, not only on an individual patient, but on communities and on the world.
All right, perfect. So that was all the questions we had for today. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts or anything you guys would like to share?
I'll say, if you have any other questions, if you're watching now or later, reach out. My email is president@acoem.org. So president@acoem.org.
And I second that. I'm also available. Yeah, it's just Dr. Britton at insightexs.com. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'm always free to answer questions. I definitely love the field of occupational medicine, and I see it thriving in the future.
And yeah, I'll also put my contact info out there. I'll give you my personal email. It's easier to digest than my military one. It's adamsj49@gmail.com. And if you have any interest in the military medicine, occupational medicine, or aerospace medicine, hit me up. I can answer all those.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today, and thank you to everyone who's watching. And that's pretty much it. I can say that I've learned a lot that I didn't know, so I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.